So welcome everyone. April's webinar will be talking about rollover as well as general updates. Just before we get started, and as any others join, today's session is being recorded and we'll share it with all registrants later. I can't work out, there we go. Later this week. So if you do want to share the recording with a colleague who couldn't make it or revisit any of the content, you'll be able to do that. A copy of the slides and the Q&A will be sent to everybody next week as well. And the audio for this is available through your computer speakers or dialing in by phone. If you do experience poor sound quality at any time through your computer speakers, you might wish to try dialing in by phone instead. And you can do this by accessing the device settings at the top of your screen within Teams. That's the three dots. For more settings, select the device settings, and then the area will open on your right-hand side. Everyone will remain muted through the session. Sorry, I say everyone. Participants will remain muted through the session, but the chat area is there. We've been having a little bit of chat this morning already at the top of your screen, and we'll monitor this throughout the session. So any questions that you have or comments, feel free to add there. We'll have an open Q&A at the end of the session where we'll pick up on any questions that we haven't addressed as we go along, and anything else that you want to talk about at that point. So today we have, yeah, there we go. Today presenting we have me, I'm the product manager, Imogen, for the DCS, and then we have Stephen Leach and Stephen Adorinto, our customer support advisors. So whenever you send a question to the help desk, Stephen and Stephen will pick it up. Today we will be talking about so general DCS updates, what's been happening and what's coming soon. And then we'll talk about rollover. So again, the communication schedule. So what's the timeline? The activities that you have to do to prepare your university for rollover. And then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So to our first item, that is DCS updates. My notes say hand over to Imogen, but I am here, so that's all good. So now released, since we last met, we have now released our last Born Digital load. So this was, we'd started with a little project to improve the offset algorithm that we use to work out front match of things like Roman numerals. So we improved the algorithm, reran the script, and ended up with about 20,000 titles with changes. So hopefully that means that page numbering is more accurate. I would say it's still machine calculated and it still won't be perfect. It will never be perfect. So definitely do preview any Born Digital extracts just to make sure it's exactly what you're after. And if you find discrepancies, let us know. We'll then get them altered manually as part of the next data load. So we also added about 10,000 new titles. They're from about 10 different publishers, and you can see here the numbers that went through in the end. And Polity, Faber and Faber were brand new first load from them as a new publisher this month, so that was exciting. And now we have 297,000 roughly titles in the Born Digital. So that's what we've actually managed to do. I thought I was going to be talking about this in the past tense as having gone live. It hasn't quite yet, but it should be this week, next week, very, very soon. We've just got a couple of final things to work through. But coming extremely soon, we have filters in active request table. So, I mean, I think we've talked about what's coming very shortly, but essentially it will help you filter down so that you can find what you need more easily. On the active request page, we'll have I mean, this is actually now a live screenshot from the thing. We've pretty much signed it off, this one. So we've got filters now on all of the headings, nearly all of the headings. The filters are reductive, so the more you add, the kind of fewer results you'll get. We haven't added on date picker. So for that column of the date that it was added, you can choose the date from, the date to, and it will filter down from there. And then there's a clear all, which will return it to default view. And the system will remember your filters, so the next time you come, that'll be applied still until you clear them. Additionally, this was a bug really, but the change request system broke. Essentially, this was because of a security update that we had carried out, and we hadn't realized that the implication of that. Essentially, the request change in the past would mimic your emails and send it to the Zendesk for Stephen and Stephen to pick up. We've been tightening security, so we now no longer accept like spoofed accounts. And so we've had to make some changes in the background. So what happens now is it will come from the DCS to the help desk, and it will CC you as the sender. So you'll still get a message to say that it's gone through all right, but it'd be as a CC on that message between the DCS and our Zendesk help desk. So that will be, as soon as we release it, that will be live again. In the meantime, do continue just sending an email. And finally, why are you not clicking? Oh, sorry, because I've got text there. Finally, OCLC have updated their API. Now, we actually use them for two things. They're our metadata supplier, but also some of you have OCLC's LMS, library management system, and there the API means that basically it would cease to work in June. So we've been updating to work with their new API. So we've already updated the integration, that's all fine. We have arranged for a mutual customer agreement form to be signed by all of the libraries who need it. I think anyone who needs to, you've been contacted, the vast majority, that's all in place and ready to go. So we'll be releasing that shortly too. So that I hoped has been done. It is coming very, very soon. After that, we're now getting ready for our next Born Digital load. Hopefully end of May. We have about 18,000 titles ready in the queue, so that means they go in at the top of the funnel. There's always a few that don't make it out the bottom for different reasons, but we have about 18,000 starting the process. They come from, is this still 10 different publishers? I haven't actually counted. They come from a bunch of different publishers. You can see the breakdown here. So as I say, these might not all manage to get loaded. Edward Elgar is our newest signee, so they have just signed up with them. We've got about 7,000 PDFs there. Assuming all is well with the format, then they'll be included too. It will finally bring our total to over 300,000, which is become a magic number in my mind. And that will be, hopefully the end of May. If we can't get it fully loaded by the end of the May, it will freeze and we'll do it after rollover, because during rollover, that's the 1st to the 15th of June, we do have a code freeze just to make sure that there's nothing standing in the way of you rolling over, essentially. So that is, I think, all I have to update you on. And that means I'm handing over to Stephen. Thank you. You're on mute.
Wonderful. Thank you, Imogen. So now we're going to talk about rollover. First, we're going to start with rollover communication. So we have already contacted all primary contacts on the 21st of March to confirm reporting method. So for all institutions that reported via the DCS last year, we're going to assume that you will be reporting via the DCS again. However, if anything has changed, please do let us know. And for all institutions that reported manually last year, please let us know if you will be reporting via the DCS this year. Again, the deadline to inform us of any changes to your reporting method is the 30th of April. And if you're unable for any reason to roll over yourself, please let us know and we can roll over for you. So that's just going to institutions and just clicking on rollover button. Again, rollover is between the 1st and the 15th of June. Now let's move forward to things to do before rollover. So all your requests must be on the DCS with a published link. ES orders must be in a complete state to roll over. So if you have any pending orders, you will not be able to roll over, but we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Also, any courses which have not run this academic year need to be archived to make sure they are not included in this year's report. And all student numbers must be updated by the time your HAI rolls over. So now I'm going to go through all these one at a time and provide a little bit of more details. So regarding published links, if you have shared content with students during the academic year under the terms of the CLA license, this needs to be on the DCS with a published link. If there are any requests with published link that were not used throughout the academic year, please archive or delete this request. This will ensure that they are not reported on. Now, regarding ES orders, so please note that it's not possible to complete rollover on the DCS if there are any outstanding ES orders. You can go through open ES orders from the DCS dashboard. Also, due to the cyber attack on the British Library, you won't be able to amend your orders. So please have a look. And if you see that any order is still pending or is open, please reach out to us so we can close them on your behalf. You can reach out to us via our help desk email, which is support@cla.zendesk.com. Now, one thing we also have to note is that all courses need to be updated with accurate student numbers before rollover. So if you have any course on the DCS that has 0 students, you will not be able to complete rollover. So you can review which courses have 0 student numbers on the DCS dashboard. Also, if your course didn't run during the academic year, you will need to archive or delete the course. If you think the course might run again, you should archive the course so you can easily reinstate it and use it in the future. However, you should delete any course that are not likely to run again, since the more courses you have on the DCS, the longer it will take for you to roll over. So once you have archived or deleted any courses that didn't run, you're ready to update your student numbers. So the quickest way to do this is by using the bulk course update function, and we will go over how to easily transfer numbers from one file to another by using VLOOKUP. So if I stop sharing my screen and I switch, Imogen, can you confirm that you're seeing my regular screen now?
Yeah, we can see the DCS itself.
Wonderful. So the first thing you want to do is download the CSV file that has the student numbers. And to do that, you navigate to course upload. Then you scroll down. And we have generate CSV pre-filled with current info. We click on this. We have student number only. We click on finish and the file is ready to be downloaded. I already have the file downloaded, so I'm not going to download it again. So now if I just open the 2 Excel files I have, so I'm going to explain. The first one I have here on my left-hand side is the student number I downloaded from the DCS. And on my right-hand side, I have an example spreadsheet. So this could be records from your systems. So a file that you might have downloaded from your student records. that have your course code and also have your student number. So the screen I'm using is a little bit small, but I hope that everything is visible to everybody. So I'm going to go over the process of using VLOOKUP. So what we want to do is move the student numbers from, let's call this our student record, to the DCS spreadsheet. So the way to do this is by using VLOOKUP. I'm aware that a lot of people in this webinar might know how to use this way much better than I do, but I'm just going to provide just a basic way of moving the student numbers from one spreadsheet to the other. So the first thing I want to do is to write the VLOOKUP formula. So that starts with equal, then VLOOKUP, then put an open parenthesis. So first off, we have to identify what we're looking for. In our case, we're looking we want to check the course code, and then we want to pull back across the student numbers. So the course code is located in column A1. So when I click on it, we'll see that it's added here. Then I put another comma. The second thing we want to do is to select the array, the column array. So if I push this a little bit to the right, so we want to select the area that's VLOOKUP will be searching. So we always have to make sure that the first column is the course code. So there's a number of ways to do this. I just select everything like this, but if you have more numbers, you can just use this method. And we can see that the value have been added here. Again, comma. Next, we want to specify the column index number. So this tells VLOOKUP which column to look and find the student number. So the course code will be column 1, example field 1 will be 2, and number of students will be 3. So I'm just going to type 3, then without that Z, then put a comma. Next, we'll be given two options here. So it's true or false. So if we select true, we will be given an approximate match. And if you select false, you will be given an exact match. In our case, we want the exact match. So I'm just going to type in false and close the parentheses and click on enter. So we can see the number of students written here. So the reason we have this change is because we selected 3 in the formula, so we know we're pulling the right information. So now to reveal the number of students, again, there's so many ways you can do this, but I'm just going to drag this down, and you can see that the number are pulled from this spreadsheet here. Another thing you might think is that why shouldn't I just copy the course code or copy it the way it is and just put it to the DCS spreadsheet? The reason is because the course codes might not necessarily be in the same order. So this is a useful way to do this. If I drag this a little bit more down, you'll see that we get NA. That means that no match was found. In your case, if no match is found, it would be good maybe you talk internally and try to see why this information is missing, then fill it out. So I'm just going to delete the NAs for now. And because this is an example, I'm going to leave the rest of them 0, but in your case, please make sure that all student numbers are not 0. So I'm just going to copy what I found. Come here, and we can see that we get an error. So we just have to copy this as a value and get it. And then you can just go ahead and delete this column and save the file and re-upload it to the DCS. So again, there's a number of ways that you can do these shortcuts that you can use. So if you have any shortcuts that may help people, you can put it in the chat and we can also learn from you. Thank you. So over to you, Imogen.
Grand, thank you, Stephen. Yeah, I have just one other thing that I wanted to mention, and that is, it really is a question. It's not, we're not going through anything in detail at the moment, but it's a question for those of you who are Ex Libris Leganto users, because I think there are some additional challenges that can come at rollover. Essentially, the DCS rollover closes out the old year, sends the usage report to us at the CLA, and then creates a duplicate of all the courses and requests for the new academic year, which you would then adapt and make sure it's ready for the new year, not the old one. But we do not automatically change course names or course codes or make any changes. It will be literally a duplicate. In Leganto, generally, when you roll over, it will again create a duplicate copy of all courses for the new year. But in most cases, it seems to automatically update the prefixes in course names and or course codes. So, for example, the academic year this year is 22-23. So very often you've got that as a prefix in course names and course codes. And when you roll over in Leganto, it will change that to the new year 24-25 in the codes and names. So that can create a challenge if we don't address it, because then the codes and names will be different in the two systems. And it means that if we don't address it, if you add a new request in the Leganto side, Leganto will search for the course code in DCS. It won't find it because it's been updated in one and not the other, and it will create a new course. So we need to basically bulk update the names in the DCS. We don't have to do it before rollover, but we have to do it really before you start making changes for the new year. So at the moment, it's just a question for those of you who are Leganto users. We probably won't do it in a main webinar because it's specific to users of the Leganto system. But for those of you who are, could you just use chat? Would you find a session on updating and troubleshooting these course codes and names helpful? It may, I mean, I don't have access to Leganto, so I may not have the answers, but I'm hoping, if you're interested, that we could have a session to kind of learn from each other and work through issues you're having yourselves. Because I'm sharing, I can't see the chat, but if you could just pop a yes, no, and if you're not a Leganto user, then just don't answer, otherwise it will throw my it will skew the answers that I am getting. Okay, super. So we can set up another session if there's interest. So we had one question that came in ahead of time, which was, what happens if my institution is not rolling over in the RLMS, so Leganto, Thales, whatever. So first up, you will still have to roll over in the DCS. The two systems are completely separate and they're really only connected by the API. If you don't roll over in your reading list system, then to be honest, it's simpler. It means that there won't be a change to course codes and course names, things like that. So you won't have to worry about bulk updating names and things in the DCS. However, any changes that you're making kind of manually to adjust for the new academic year, you just need to make in both systems. So it doesn't really matter. There's no obvious connection. So that's the question that we had ahead of time. I am going to stop sharing, I think, now, so that I can look at the chat, and then we'll see if there are any additional questions. Right, so got
Wonderful.
Lots of yes, please. Okay, we will set up a session. Brilliant. Rona has a strategy. Great, come and share it. Okay, I'll set up a question. I'll set up a session, and we'll invite everyone who's a Leganto user. Super. In terms of Q&A for now, is there anything that you'd like to go over again, hear more about, ask that we didn't cover, specifically in relation to rollover, but to be honest, it could be anything. One thing that we didn't mention, sorry, was for DCS users in the Republic of Ireland, obviously the rollover is very different for you. You will still have to click the button, but you don't actually have to do many of the other things at all. And we'll be in touch separately to talk about reporting. DCS synchronization job that runs in Alma. Ooh, well, this is a question for the community then. Does anybody know in detail about how the DCS synchronization works in Alma? What exactly does the synchronization job do when it runs? Are there any Alma users who might be able to advise on that? I mean, we see what we see from you, but we don't actually have great detail of exactly what it's doing. It might be something actually that we could talk about if we have a Leganto specific session. Then by default that means everyone's on Alma, so that might be a time to address this, because we'll be in a regular Teams meeting at that point rather than a webinar setup, so there'll be the opportunity for people to speak. Is it best to roll over Aspire, so this is a Talus system reading list, before the DCS, or does it not matter? Check with Talus, because it apparently does matter, as in you have to do it the same thing every year, so whatever you did last year is what you should do this year. Any other questions? Can I start working on reading his lists ahead of rollover and process to? Right, so yes, you can, but basically don't publish links. So anything that's an active request will roll over, but so anything that's an active request will move to the new academic year. There are 5 or 6 statuses in active requests. I think the first 2 are before you've assigned it to a course. So at that point, they don't have any academic year assigned. As soon as you assign it to a course, it has an academic year. And on rollover, anything that's got an academic year in active requests will move to the next academic year. So yeah, you can go ahead and prepare them, but just don't make them live, and the system will take care of the rest. We will have another rollover session in May, just picking up on any kind of last things that you might want to talk through. So do let us know if there's anything that you want to cover then. And of course, if you need support for your specific university in the meantime, then we are more than happy to jump on a call and talk through processes, systems, whatever it is that you want to. If there's nothing else for now, then thank you very much for your time this morning. It's nice to see so many folk here. I hope it's been useful. If there's anything else that you want to check in with, just pop us a message on Zendesk and we'll get back to you. But thank you very much and have a lovely rest of the day.
Yep.
Bye. Take care.
Bye-bye.